A lot different now. They've built, obviously it's like anywhere else in Bowling Green, they've built a whole lot more houses, but these were all fields here. And I actually grew up, it was always the fourth house on the left. Now it's, I don't even know what.
The eighth?
The eighth or ninth or whatever.
All right, what's your name?
Will Perkins.
And what do you own?
I'm with a Cut Above Lawn Care.
Okay, and how long, when did you start a Cut Above?
A Cut Above was started in, actually in '97, and about a month before I got married, so I bit two bullets in one stone.
So let's go back to the beginning there. When you started the company, did you have another job before that, or did you?
Well, actually, it's kind of a long, drawn out story as anything is.
We got time.
I'd always had done this, traded out. I always said swimming time for pulling weeds and mowing and doing that type of work for people in the neighborhood. Growing up at a very young age, probably started 9, 10, 11 years old. Always enjoyed doing that type of work.
Was that your first job?
Yeah, I mean, definitely something that was in the neighborhood that I could go to. Now, as far as getting paid, like I said, it was more of a trade out for getting swimming time or something like that. My first paying job, I did a lot of different things through high school.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Warren Central. Actually, I went to Rockfield. I grew up in Rockfield, and went to elementary school there. Then they didn't have the middle school, so we went through 8th grade there. Then I went to Warren Central and graduated from Warren Central. Okay.
And then you went to Western?
Went to Western. Like I said, lots of different things as far as the background. From one summer, pruning Christmas trees. I worked for a plumbing company installing fire systems, sprinkler systems.
Step back, where'd you do Christmas trees at?
With Rogers Tree Farm.
Where's that at?
Over off Scott Lane. He used to have a tree farm, and they had farms all over Warren County, Logan County, and we went around every day and shaped Christmas trees. It was interesting. I mean, it was fun. I worked for another local contractor as a yard kid, just during the summers when I had an opportunity. My mom would go drop me off and come back and pick me up.
What did your parents do?
My mom was a school teacher, and my father was in the mortgage business.
Okay, so where'd your mom teach?
She taught at Warren Elementary.
Okay, so you had someone with a financial background and a teacher, and they threw you out in the world and said, go get your hands dirty and work.
Just do, well, I mean, that's what I enjoyed. Growing up, I mean, we lived in a neighborhood that was predominantly boys. At any time, there'd be 12 to 15 different boys running around, all within 3 to 4 years of the same age. And you know, it was a lot different then. I mean, there was no phones, or, you know, we would go to the street corner and wait for 1 or 2 guys to show up, and next thing you know, 10 would be there, and we would be in the woods building forts, throwing acorns at each other. That was just the kind of the way we grew up. I mean, we had some pretty intense football games. That was just the way we grew up then. So, I mean, I was outside from the time I woke up till when the porch light came on, or whatever code was there for me to come in. That's what I was doing. We were outside.
What's the best code?
Probably the porch light, when the porch light came on, because we had some kids, their parents would ring a dinner bell. Some moms would just stand on the front porch and yell their name for 30, 45 minutes, and we would just laugh. So,
see, I had a bell. You could hear that everywhere.
So it was always something different, but everybody knew. So, and that's the way we grew up. So, but no, I always enjoyed just being outside. And like I said, we worked for my partner now, Chris. We did the same thing. We worked for the guy in the neighborhood, and through college we did things like that, and then for him, and that's how Cut Above got started. Was I went through Western, actually ended up with a master's degree. And
what were your degrees in?
I got my undergraduate was in recreation, a bachelor's of science degree, and with an emphasis in recreation, and thought I wanted to be a park ranger. Well, because I'd worked summer camps also in high school. I worked at Camp Curry down on Kentucky Lake, and was a lifeguard and camp counselor, and always had fun doing that. So I was like, I could, play outside. That was what, my emphasis and what I wanted to do as I grew up. And so I got done and graduated, and the guy that was over facilities at the Preston Center there on Western came to me and said, how would you like to go to graduate school and work for us as a GA, as a graduate assistant, and do the help with facilities? So I was like, why not? If you're going to pay for my school, I can't turn that down. It's another couple years that I can postpone being out in the real world. So
what year was this?
I guess this was in 93,
okay.
94 area.
Okay.
94 probably. And I did that for a year, and got serious about that. Started looking for jobs, and there's only at that point then my focus had kind of changed from a park ranger, from the outdoor rec, into more facilities. But there's only one Preston Center. There's very few of those type facilities around, so that meant moving and leaving Bowling Green, and that was something I was not prepared to do. So I was kind of like, what am I going to do? So I went home and told my dad that, hey, I'm going to go buy a mower and start a lawn care business. And you can imagine the reaction that, he just put me through school and went and got a master's degree, and he said, you're going to do what? I said, no, I'm going to start a lawn care business. So sure enough, I had a little S10 pickup truck and went and bought an enclosed trailer and a grasshopper mower, a weed eater and blower, and I was in the business.
So did you buy the engagement ring or the mower first?
The engagement ring probably was before the mower.
Okay. And did you meet your wife at Western?
No, we actually met in high school.
Okay.
So
she went to Warren Central?
She went to Warren Central too, yes.
Okay.
So we've actually, this year was our 20th anniversary for both a cut above and my marriage. So
easy way to remember both, right?
I still have a hard time, but yes.
Okay, so your dad, was he kind of a big influence on helping you start a business? Giving you kind of, hey, this is what you need to expect. This is, because starting a business is tough, and on these we usually talk to people that sometimes are looking at to even start their own business.
My dad, he always had an opinion on everything.
Okay.
But it's still a dad, so when you've been listening to his opinion his whole life, you never really know. I had yes, because he was actually in the process of starting his own mortgage company at the same time, so it was kind of interesting. But he yes, he had a lot of influence, still does, even though he's passed away. But it's not. I relied on probably observations that I made growing up, as far as marketing goes, and I relied on people that have been successful and kind of followed what they had done, things that worked well for them. Hire good people, take care of your people. That was something that that I'd always had noticed through a mentor. Back into what I was talking about, I don't know if you do we want to. I don't know how you're going to be editing this, right?
I might. We'll see.
I don't know if we want to. I don't know if I want to throw out names. Is what I'm saying.
Sure. Go ahead. Like, who's some of the people that helped you that you think, maybe locally or anywhere else? I don't mind.
Well, that's back to what I was getting back as far as when we would trade out swimming time. The guy that had founded Rafferty's and Montana Grill and Double Dogs lived in the neighborhood that we grew up in.
Oh, okay.
So Dan Davis was spent a lot of time around him and realized what he was doing with his managers and people in his office, and from talking and picking up with him is something he always said was, take care of your people, pay them well, and they'll take care of you. So,
Sure.
so we've always have kind of tried to replicate that. Obviously, it's two different businesses, but still the philosophy is the same thing.
And I think that's a great person to kind of base some philosophy off of.
Right, exactly. You can't argue with the success that he's had with what he has done in Bowling Green, and giving back and the growth of his companies. And as far as marketing, this is kind of but silly, but growing up in Bowling Green, you always saw Scotty's trucks.
Sure.
Scotty's were blue and yellow. So and it's ironic that my first truck was red, so we stuck with red from the beginning.
Sure.
And
so that wasn't a carefully plotted idea. That was just you had a red truck?
No, it was carefully plotted that I knew that whatever we started with, we were going to stick with it. Had it been orange, purple, or whatever, it would have, I just wanted the consistency of the look of a company to, from the logo on to the uniforms to everything being consistent is very important for that to stick in people's minds.
You can't go wrong with red.
Well, if I had to do all over, we'd probably be white, because red is the most expensive color. You can paint a vehicle, you can paint a trailer.
Is it really?
Yes, it takes extra clear coats when you have something painted. So, again, it's kind of
live and learn.
Live and learn that I would not choose red again for that reason. But I mean, it's worked well for us, and it's definitely something that we're not going to change.
So you had Dan, your dad. Anyone else that was kind of beneficial to you?
A lot of different people helped influence.
Sure.
Chris, who is my partner now, Chris bought into the business in '97. We grew up childhood friends. He moved to the neighborhood when he was 7, and we've basically been best friends since that point. And his dad was also a business. He ran was a regional manager for Snyder's at the time.
Okay.
So he was heavily influenced. We would go on trips with him and interact with the way he treated his employees and the way he handled certain situations. I guess at the time you don't realize that, hey, we were going camping or we were going canoeing or whatever, but at the same time he would be, have to make a stop here or stop there, and we didn't have anything else to do except follow with what he was doing, and we would, you would pick up things, just not realizing it. And I think you don't realize that as a young person you're doing that, but everyone you're around are influencing things that you will do later as you move on.
So this started as kids from the street relationship.
really, it did. It did. And like I said, I ran out of, I decided I wasn't going to move away. I was really serious about a job, looking at the Miami of Ohio, and it was decision time. It was gut check time, and I said, I'm staying here.
What would you have done if you went to Miami of Ohio?
I was looking to look at a job being a facilities manager at the with their rec center.
Oh, okay.
There at the university.
Okay. And then you started the business. Who was the first customer?
Well, obviously, I had mowed and taken care of Dan's yard through that time, so he was probably the first customer. I think I delivered. Obviously, we had business cards. I had business cards made up, and I delivered business cards throughout neighborhoods and mailboxes. And some of the first customers we still have to this day. I think the Snodgrasses. Dan was a one. I think that first year, when I first, said go, it was a 5 customer type deal, and I think that I think that first few months, I think we had 5. I had 5 customers by myself, and had a lot of free time. So
you had a lot of time to go give cards.
Exactly. So I spent a lot of time driving around, visiting with people, and just hanging out. So and then the next year things got busier. I think then the third, 97, 98, probably '99, I probably hired my first employee, and then I think in 2000 and I don't know, 2001 or 3. What was it, Chris? Was it? When'd you buy in?
I bought in 2000.
In 2000, so probably 99 then, 98, 99 was when we started hiring people, and then Chris bought in 2000. He had worked for another local lawn care company, and had learned the spraying business, the fertilization, the weed control. So when he brought all that knowledge, and we hit the streets again looking for customers, and so it increased our customer base by a lot, having those guys and those customers that were spray customers. So that's when we started the spraying into the business, and brought some little more technical abilities on the trimming side of it and the maintenance end of it, and so we at that time we started exploding, really. I mean, we were growing over 100% at a time there for about 3 or 4 years, so there was a lot of growth that occurred at that time, and up until, well, we've pretty much had growth, some sort of, we had major growth then. The last few years it has slowed down, as far as those. It's easy to grow 100% when you're doing a small amount, but when you start doing a larger volume, it becomes more difficult.
So that first year you said you had 5 customers?
5 customers.
So
yes.
how many do you have now?
Regular customers. Yeah, we can actually, here is where the neighborhood that we grew up in. It looks a lot different now, but we actually grew up out here in Hillwood. I apologize.
No, you're good.
And it's a lot different now. They've built, obviously it's like anywhere else in Bowling Green, they've built a whole lot more houses, but these were all fields here. And I actually grew up, it was always the 4th house on the left. Now it's, I don't even know what.
The 8th?
The 8th or 9th or whatever. But I actually grew up in this house right here. And then
so this is where a cut above started.
Really, I mean, we didn't know it, but yes. And then these were where all there's 2 houses here, but these were all woods here, and basically both sides of the street. And this is, again, it doesn't do it any justice looking at houses, but this is where it all.
This is where you got your outdoor love. This
is where we got our outdoor love, and this house right here on the left is where Chris grew up, and all the tree houses and things that were built in the woods. But yes, to say that this is where it all started is true. So, and then behind us about a mile, there's a trail back. There's a rock quarry. We used to walk to, hike to, ride our bikes to. So,
well, it's true that everybody says, and it's one of the reasons how I ended up here, that Bowling Green's a great place to grow up as a kid and to raise a family, and that's kind of what keeps people here. A lot of students come here from Western and then they bolt. I never actually went to Western. I never, I didn't have ties here, came here for a job, and then ended up staying because I had a kid and it seemed like a great place to raise them. Is that kind of one of the factors that went into you not going to
without
Oxford?
A doubt. Without a doubt. No question about it. I wanted to stay in Bowling Green. Like I said, I had family here, whatever, and friends, and it was just I was very comfortable, and I don't like change, so it was.
It's kind of funny you say that. Although you've grown, so you've got to change. You've got to constantly be pivoting with your business. You've got new employees. You got to somehow fill the job. So how do you deal with that as someone who doesn't really like change? Hiring employees, is that the hardest thing to do?
Well, by far. It's more of finding employees. The hiring process. The market for employees is very low, So you just have to you want to grab up what you can and try to and make it work.
Well, speaking of that, because I was kind of shocked when I started working with you guys to find out your employees aren't just seasonal.
Absolutely not. No, we learned a long time ago that you have to. We felt like that. Employees are so hard to find. Good employees, especially. You don't want to take a chance if you were to lay them off, say after leaves were done in December, and not bring them back until mowing started in March. There's a good chance, the type of employee that we look for, they don't enjoy sitting around. They don't want to sit around and draw an unemployment check. So more than likely, they're going to go find another job. So we didn't want to take that chance of losing someone that was a good employee. So we've decided that it was easier for us just to pay them year round, give them give them hours if we had to, or find stuff for them to do in the wintertime to obviously to keep everyone busy, that they can feed their kids and pay their payments and things like that. So we made that choice a long time ago, and we had to again change the way we were doing some things in the business. We went from a per cut for our mow customers. Most of our stuff is based on year-round contracts. But mowing was a lot of time at the time. It's been probably 12 years now. Our mowing was based on per cut, so we went to contract mowing where we take a price per yard and then base that on 12 months. So we have steady income. We spread that out, and then that allows us to keep our employees, to pay them through those slower times. And we've maintained. I'm embarrassed to tell you that I don't know how long it's been since, or for, I guess, our longest employee maybe 12 years.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm embarrassed that I don't know exactly how long some of those guys have been here, but majority of the guys that we have now are, 3-4 years, 5 years, 6 up to 12. Do you know of anyone longer, Chris, or does that sound about right?
I'd say 10 to 12.
10 to 12. Andres has been here, probably the longest. Which is, so, we try to take care of them, and they're all happy, and they seem to want to be here. So that's what we strive for.
I may edit this, but I'm going to ask a question that could be touchy. How many other businesses have been created of people who've learned under you? There's other guys that move on and may be amicable on some.
Right. No. Like I said, as far as we've had one of the original hires, the second or third guy we hired, actually was lost in school. He went on to get a turf degree. His name's John Wall. His wife was from Louisville, so they would move back to Louisville. But John was a great employee. He worked for us for 3 or 4 years, and he went on to Louisville and he didn't open up his own business, but he went to work as right now he's in the lawn care business as I want to say account manager for a really large firm there in Louisville.
Okay.
We've had a couple other guys in the turf program come through that have gone on to work at the other golf courses. We had a young fella, Brock Moore, who worked for us for a long time. It was a great relationship, but he got to where he wanted more, so he's gone and he started his own business here in Bowling Green, and we refer a lot of work to Brock. We still work with Brock. He refers back to us. He opened up dedicated lawn service here in Bowling Green and is doing quite well with that also. So, we're not going to hold anybody back. I mean, we're not.
And that's awesome, because that's a sign that you guys have not only, how many people do you have you employ right now?
Right now, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, depending on the day, whether they all come in or not. So,
and then you got guys who've gone on and are creating their own wealth with their own company, and that's kind of an awesome thing.
And that's not, we'll work with them. I mean, we refer, like I said, we refer work to Brock, and he refers work back to us, something that he doesn't do, or if we can't handle it, or if we're not taking on anything more, and someone is looking for a referral, sometimes we give out his name. So there's enough work in this town that's not an issue.
And we've talked a lot about work. What do you do, especially in the early days? It's probably hard to do, but then we're filming this on the day a lot of kids go back to school. During the summer months, you guys are pretty busy. How do you guys kind of balance work and life and just enjoying life?
That's the great thing with a partnership in this type of business. It's a very hands-on, you just can't turn a blind eye. I mean, we feel like that we've got to, number one, get the work, line the work out, and then make sure the work's being done the way we want to do it. Yes, we have guys that have been here 12 years that can handle a lot of this stuff, but we're very still hands-on and want to make sure that it meets our approval or the way we want it done. So having a partner it's created a lot of free time. Someone still there to return phone calls. So Chris and I both do a lot of camping, a lot of boating.
Where's the best camping spot around here?
Around here?
And I mean within states. I know Chris goes up to Wisconsin, but where's your spot?
That's as my kids have gotten older, they're involved in a lot more things. I've been a lot more locally centered on camping. When they were younger, we did trips across the country, a couple of 2-week trips out west twice. And
what's your favorite spot on those trips?
My favorite place I've been as far as camping goes would probably be Zion National Park.
Brilliant.
That's so far. I'm sure there's some other ones out there, and that I will conquer it someday. But so far, and right now we spend a lot of time at Bailey's.
Okay.
We have a boat that we keep there at the lake, so that's where we're centered. So
what do your kids like to do now that they're getting older? And is there stuff you have to go to that?
Well, my youngest is involved at soccer at Greenwood, and then she's involved with Sky Soccer on the travel team, which keeps a lot of weekends tied up going to soccer tournaments and soccer games. So
yeah.
My oldest is leaving for college on Saturday, actually, so I will be moving her out this weekend, and she's busy working now and going to school. She just bought her first car and making payments on that, so we'll see how long that lasts.
All coming full circle.
All coming full circle, exactly.
All right, then do this. Give us your top 4 restaurants to eat at in Bowling Green. You seem like someone who might have 4 off the top of their head.
Top 4. What I have to probably say, the old trusty Rafferty's is always a crowd pleasers. I'm a big smoky pig barbecue guy. I've kind of have gotten some of the smaller restaurants. I'm a big fan of the White Squirrel, and probably after that, I could probably go with I don't know. I'm a Zaxby's fan.
Oh man, Zaxby. We're gonna have to talk about chicken later. All right. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.